If you're lucky or observant enough, you may have run across some unique enemies during your time in Classic WoW. More distinct than regular enemies, rare mobs, identified by their silver dragon portrait frame, are sometimes more powerful than a regular enemy and can drop higher quality loot. While there are many rare mobs scattered across Azeroth, there are a few that stand out as especially important. Small footnotes in the game's history that have more to offer than meets the eye. Today, we're taking a look at 3 lost tales of Classic WoW that explore secrets behind these rare mobs, and hopefully you'll learn something about the game you've never considered before. As always, thank you for your fun comments and support, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. The Alterac Mountains are a forgotten landscape. The chilled heights of Lordaeron, now inhospitable and overrun by Crush Ridge ogres. Vegetation can hardly survive here, and most creatures prefer the lower regions of Hillsbrad to the mountainous slopes. There is one that dares to trek through this area, and indeed, it seems even the ogres steer clear of this apex predator. Narilla, an elite red drake, seems out of place this far north, and has undoubtedly caused alarm for many players as he patrols around the zone. There are a number of odd details to point out about this drake, beginning with his name. Members of the Red Dragonflight typically take on a unique name ending in Straws or Straza, with only a few exceptions, such as Axtros at Grim Batol. Narilla also fits into this category, though as an adolescent dragon, it's possible the naming convention might be different. The Drake's model is also not the one he started out with. In the WoW beta, he once appeared as a fully grown red dragon and as a rare chromatic drake. But I'm glad the devs decided to go with his final form, as it fits better into the lore. While the drake isn't associated with any quests or mentioned specifically anywhere, his seemingly out-of-place location can be explained if we look into the past. During the time of Warcraft 3, when the corrupted Prince Arthas invaded Lordaeron, he had to deal with not only his former subjects, but orcs as well. A small group of orcs from the Blackrock clan once lived in the foothills nearby, and fought using a small number of enslaved red dragons. While it was the Dragonmaw clan that was most well known for subjugating dragons, the Blackrocks obtained young whelps, or perhaps even eggs, from the Dragonmaws sometime between the start of the Second War and the liberation of Grim Batol. When Arthas decimated these forces during his campaign, the dragons were slain as well. With this knowledge in mind, it seems as though Narilla is the lone survivor of this attack, likely being raised in captivity and just recently escaping the Scourge in the north. With limited knowledge of the outer world, the drake settled on a new home in the nearby ruins of Alterac. A tragic past for one of the mightiest rare mobs in Classic WoW, and you'll find that if you leave him alone, nobody will ask you to seek him out. Across the Great Sea, in the Land of 1,000 Needles, Tauren of the Grim Totem clan have claimed several of the Great Spires as their own. Dark Cloud Pinnacle is their citadel, where bridges connect the tops of the mesas into one imposing stronghold. The Grim Totems have a substantial presence here, but one Tauren stands out among them. Harb Foulmountain is unique in that he does not appear to be a part of the Grim Totem clan, and yet he can be seen patrolling around the mesas with the others, occasionally stopping and staring out across the canyon to the Great Lift in the north. He is dressed in the style of a shaman, and carries a sturdy hammer that, in conjunction with his war stomp ability, can make for a tough fight atop the Needles, even though he isn't elite. While Foul Mountain is hostile to both Horde and Alliance players, looking into the database reveals something odd. According to WoWhead, in addition to the typical enemy sound effects, he also has greetings, farewells, and angry audio files that are usually only assigned to friendly NPCs. I looked at several other Tauren enemies in the region, and they do not share this trait, which leads to some interesting questions. Was Foul Mountain originally designed to be a quest NPC? An NPC who turned hostile after talking to him? We don't know, but this is certainly an anomaly in the game's data that could be something more than a developer oversight. Either way, this outlier in 1,000 Needles is worth mentioning, and it's fun to speculate about his mysterious past. North of Loch Medan, a series of passages and pathways make up Dun Algaz, the gateway between Upper Cos Medan and the wetlands below. This is one of the crucial supply routes for the dwarves, but it has recently fallen under relentless attacks from orcs. The Dragonmaw clan is resurfacing in the wetlands, and now the watch post is overrun, crawling with marauders. This attack is in preparation for an all-out assault on Menethil Harbor, now cut off from military support. The warlord responsible is Maruk Wormscale, an imposing commander with the armor and helm to prove it. Like many rare mobs, he isn't involved in any quests, but after doing some more research, I found there is much more to this story than I ever could have imagined. In the database, there is a quest simply called Unused. There are over 100 quests like this in the game files, but this one is important today because it lists Maruk as a quest objective. Here's what the database has to say. Other than you, we sent 2 scouts through Algaz. Only one returned. Here's what he discovered. The Dragonmaws sent one of their lieutenants, Maruk Wormscale, to organize a crew of orcs in Algaz and cut off the land route to Menethil Harbor. We have to stop this now. Take out Maruk, and then report to Volstagg Ironjaw in Menethil Harbor. Maruk is headquartered in a small cave, across a pond between the 2nd and 3rd tunnels of Algaz. Menethil is through Algaz, then west along the road. We can gain a lot of information from this quest. While no quest giver is provided, I think the most likely candidate is Mountaineer Rockgar, located at the Algaz station just inside Loch Medan. He sends players into Algaz to scout it out and take out some of the grunts before moving on to Menethil Harbor. It seems this unused quest is a forgotten continuation of this chain, a common quest pattern that would have you return to the area and then take down the final boss, in this case Maruk Wormscale. At some point in development, this quest was scrapped, and now there's only one step involving Dun Algaz before moving on into the wetlands. The directions mentioned here are also bizarre. In Classic WoW, Maruk is found at the Dun Algaz watch post between the 2nd and 3rd passageways, not inside a cave or past a pond, as mentioned in the quest. There is no cave within this area, but looking just above the final path in Dun Algaz, one can find a small pond surrounded by a few isolated orcs, perhaps leftovers from when the geography of the area was more expansive and included some sort of cave. Believe it or not, this is not the only deprecated quest that happens in the wetlands. While checking the database, I found another unused quest that takes place very close by. Here's what it has to say. The Rom-Ka, warrior. There is no time to waste. Orcs of the Dragonmaw clan have fortified themselves in the valley to the south of here. They have denied the war chief's mandate, leaving us only one course of action. We will eliminate them so they will no longer dirty the name of the Horde. The quest objectives tell you to eliminate the raiders and bone warders found within the Angerfang encampment, along with the Dragonmaw Battlemaster, a unique enemy now classified as a rare mob. Sounds familiar, right? The most curious part of this example is, again, the absence of a quest giver. From their language, they definitely sound like an orc, and with the mention of the valley south of here, it seems the NPC was once not too far away from the encampment. But in the final release, there are no Horde bases in the wetlands. It makes me wonder if perhaps Dun Motor, Dire Forge Hill, or some other area in the north of the zone was supposed to be a Horde outpost that was scrapped during development. And hey, the hidden Zeppelin wreck just above Dun Motor could be a final clue in favor of this theory. So much to discover starting from just 3 rare mobs in Classic WoW, and I hope you enjoyed these lost stories as much as I did. The scrapped wetlands content I just find to be super fascinating, and who knows what else could be hidden within these unused quests. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, may the Force be with you.